Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's online class. In today's online class, we will be discussing about what is phrase and what is clause. Most of us have a doubt to know whether what exactly is phrase and what is clause. So let us have in detail about phrase and a clause. Let's go ahead. Phrase and a clause. So before we go into the class, let's see some examples here. Now the examples are: after the meal, the nice neighbor, we're waiting for the movie, on the rooftop, under the desk, beside his father, the brown shirt. These set of words are termed as phrase. These set of words are termed as phrase. Why are they called as phrases? Based on what reason or based on what criteria can we tell them that these are phrases? So for that, let's go in detail. Now, please observe this definition of phrase. A phrase is a group of words that makes a sense but not complete sense. I repeat once again, a phrase is a group of words that makes a sense. I mean, it makes a meaning. A meaning will be conveyed by a phrase, but not the complete sense. But it will not give you the complete meaning. It has no subject and object verb combination. This is very important. A phrase does not have a subject verb combination. The subject verb combination is never seen in phrase. A phrase is also referred as group of 2 or 3 grammatically linked words. Why are we saying grammatically? For example, if I say he, say, in, on, they are also a group of words or set of words, but they are not grammatically linked. So grammatically linked group of words that does not have a subject or a predicate, or that which do not have a subject verb combination, they are called as phrases. I repeat once again, phrase is a group of words which makes a sense but not the complete sense, and a phrase does not have a subject verb combination. Right? Let's go further. Now please look at the sentences. In the morning, in front of school, switch off the fan, beside the lake, their country. All these group of words which are underlined and in italics are phrases. Now for example, beside the lake. Beside the lake means it's giving a meaning that something is beside the lake. But what is beside the lake is not mentioned. Similarly, switch off the fan. This is also a phrase. Whom are you asking to switch off the fan? Why are you asking to switch off the fan is not mentioned. Similarly, in front of the school. What is there in front of school? It is not mentioned. In front of a school means, yes, we can say that something, there is something in front of school. In the morning. What have we done in the morning? It's not specifically mentioned. So all these set of words which are meaningfully arranged or grammatically linked words which gives a sense but not the complete sense are called as phrases. Clear, children? Let's go further. Now, let us look at this circle. Phrase, there is no subject, there is no predicate, no definite or finite verb relation. A phrase will not have a finite verb relation. Any verb which changes in all the 12 senses, in the 12 tenses, is referred as a finite verb. A phrase does not contain a finite verb. Now when you observe these sentences, in the evening, at the gate, with the great force, by all means, or by sunset, all these are the examples for phrases. These do not have a subject and a verb combination. In the evening, we are talking about evening, but what we are talking about evening is not mentioned. At the gate, we have a subject, but there is no verb combination with great force. Here also we don't have the verb or we don't even have the subject. By all means, this particular group of words also don't have a subject and a verb combination. So they are called as phrases. Okay, now let's go in detail. Now let's understand one thing. Phrase is no subject verb combination. Phrase is there is no subject verb combination. But when we come to clause, clause definitely has a subject and a verb combination. Anything which has a subject and verb combination is called as phrase, and something which does not have a subject verb combination is termed as phrase. Okay, clause has subject verb combination, whereas phrase do not have subject verb combination. Right? Let's go further. Now, what is a clause? Clause is a group of words which form a part of a sentence and contains a subject and a predicate is called as a clause. Group of words which form a part of a sentence. I mean, they are a part of a sentence and they definitely contain a subject and they also contain a predicate. And you know, clause has subject verb combination. Clause has subject verb combination. Now you can see some examples. You are a good boy. This is the poem written by me. India is a mighty nation. We should remember our responsibilities. Everyone should be a part in developing the country. We should always be loyal to parents. Now these set of words are called as clauses. Now why are they called as clauses? Now when you see you are a good boy, you have a verb are, you have a subject here. Okay, there is an agreement between the subject and the verb, and that is considered as a clause. What is clause? Clause is a group of words which contains a subject and which contains a predicate and also has subject verb combination, whereas phrase do not contain subject verb combination. Now this is a poem written by me. So see, you have a subject, we are talking about a poem, okay, a poem, and we have a verb written. So there is a combination between the subject and the verb. So that is termed as clause. Now India is a mighty nation. So India, it's a subject, and is a verb or an auxiliary verb. So there is a combination and it has a predicate. We are talking about a country by name India. So what is clause? Clause is a combination of words or it's a part of a sentence, okay, which has a subject verb combination. That is called as clause. Okay children, let's go further. Now, types of clauses. Now we have two different clauses. One is main clause, also called as independent clause. The other one is subordinate clause, also called as dependent clause. Now let's clearly understand. Main clause, the clause which stands by itself, okay, without depending on any other part of a sentence, is called as main clause. Okay, I repeat once again, the clause or the group of words which has a subject verb combination and which can independently stand without taking the help of the other part of a sentence, that is called as clause. But when you go to subordinate clause also has a subject verb combination, but subordinate clause has to depend on other words of a sentence. It cannot give a complete thought. Which one? Subordinate clause or dependent clause cannot give a complete meaning. Okay, though it has a subject, though it has a verb, it has to depend on the other parts of the sentence to make the meaning very clear. So we have independent clause, we have dependent clause. Independent clause is also called as main clause. Why it is called as main clause? Because it has a subject verb combination and it can stand by itself without depending on other part of the sentence. Okay, whereas dependent clause, dependent itself says that it has to depend on the rest of the sentence for giving the clear meaning. So it is also called as subordinate clause. Okay children, let's go further. Right, now just have a look at it. Now let's be very clear. Types of clauses. A dependent clause adds extra information to a sentence, but it does not express a complete thought or idea. So dependent clause adds extra meaning. It's just like adding a complement to a sentence. Okay, extra meaning will be given to the sentence, but it does not express a complete thought. A complete meaning cannot be expressed by a dependent clause. Now let's see an example here. When I attended training. Now when I attended training is a dependent clause. Now when I attended training, what happened? No one knows. See, it talks about I, which is subject. Attended has a verb, subject verb combination is there, but is it conveying a complete meaning? It is not conveying a complete meaning. Okay, it does not express a complete thought or a idea. Now let us see. When I attended training, okay, everybody understood what is clause and phrase. Or when I attended training, we understood what is phrase and clause. Now we understood what is phrase and clause will be considered as main clause. But when I attended training is only called as dependent clause because it cannot stand independently. Now see, you see, it cannot be a sentence by itself. Dependent clause cannot be a sentence by itself. Okay, for example, let us take an example now. Okay, while I was going to Hyderabad, right? Now when you say while I was going to Hyderabad, I lost my purse. Now I lost my purse is called as independent clause or main clause because it's giving a clear meaning that my purse is lost. But while I was going to Hyderabad, that combination has a subject and a verb, but what happened? It will not stand by itself. It cannot be a sentence by itself. A dependent clause cannot express a complete thought and it cannot stand by itself. Okay, it has to either take the help of the main clause or the principal clause to have a complete meaning. Okay, dependent clause always depends on the main clause or the principal clause to convey a complete meaning. Now let's see an example here. While I was teaching grammar. Now while I was teaching grammar is what? Dependent clause. While I was teaching grammar, the students listen carefully. The students listen carefully is called as main clause because it is having a subject verb combination and it can stand independently. It is giving a complete thought. But while I was teaching grammar, what happened? Okay, while I was teaching grammar, the bell rang. Okay, the bell rang is the main clause there because it has a subject verb combination. So what is dependent clause? Dependent clause is a clause, okay, which has a subject verb combination, but it cannot stand itself. It cannot give a complete thought or an idea. It has to always depend on the main clause or the principal clause for a complete meaning. Let's see one more example. After the class, you can post your doubts. Now after listening to the class, if you have any doubts, you can post it. Now you can post doubts is the main clause. After the class, what happened? After the class, everybody went away. After the class, nobody understood what I said. Okay, that nobody understood what I said will be called as the main clause. Okay, after the class will be called as dependent clause. Okay children, now let's see independent clause. Independent clause can express a complete thought or idea by itself. It is independent. It doesn't depend on any other part of the sentence because it has a subject verb combination and it always gives a complete thought or a idea. I shall continue to teach online classes. Now this group of combination of words which are grammatically systematically arranged, they are giving a complete thought or they are giving a complete idea. So that is called as independent clause. It can act as a complete sentence by itself. Independent clause can always act as a complete sentence by itself. It will never depend on any other parts or any other words of the sentence to give a complete thought. Example, Rakesh has decided to develop new technology for automobiles. The idea or the thought is clearly conveyed in independent clause. There is no need for us to link any word or any other sentence. Okay, so that is called as independent clause. Okay children, let's go further. Now please observe this main clause and subordinate clause. Let us take an example. I think you have committed a mistake. Now I think is called as main clause. Why it is called as main clause? It has a subject and a verb combination and it gives a complete thought. Similarly, if you see here, I think that you have committed a mistake. That you have committed a mistake is a subordinate clause. Simply when we just ignore I think and write like that you have committed a mistake, that you have committed a mistake doesn't have a proper sense. It has to depend on the main clause. Similarly, we cannot start while it is raining. Now we cannot start is called as the main clause. It is having a subject and it is having a verb. A subject verb combination is there and it is conveying a complete thought. Now while it is raining is not a main clause, it is called as a subordinate clause. Now why is it called as subordinate clause? Now while it is raining, what happened? While it is raining, we stop playing. So we stop playing comes as the main clause. Without this will never have a proper sense. This subordinate clause should always depend on the main clause to convey a complete thought. See, Deepika met Mahinder here. It's a main clause. Okay, Deepika met Mahinder. Deepika is a subject, verb is met, subject verb combination, even object is there. So it is a main clause. Who is a teacher? Now who is a teacher is a subordinate clause or a dependent clause. Who is a teacher means we are not knowing. See, who refers to Mahinder here. But if this is written, we will not know about whom the subject is talking about. Okay, similarly, when the cat is away, the mice will play. The mice will play is called as main clause. Now when the cat is away, the rat will eat. Example I am telling. Now when the cat is away is a subordinate clause. Why it is subordinate clause? Because it is giving some sense but not the complete sense. The mice will play is called as main clause, whereas when the cat is away is called as subordinate clause. Similarly, they rested. It's giving complete meaning. They is a subject. Okay, rested is a verb. Subject verb combination is there. So it's a main clause. When the night came. They rested when they were tired. When they were tired, what happened? They rested. So they rested becomes the main clause. When the night came becomes the subordinate clause. Similarly, when you read well, it's a subordinate clause. When you read well, what will happen? You pass the exam. So when you read well, you pass the exam, or you will get distinction. Now you will get distinction is the main clause. When you read well becomes the subordinate clause. Similarly, I know the man. It's a main clause because it has a subject verb combination. I know the man who is a doctor. This who refers to the man here. Who refers to man. Now who is a doctor means we are not very sure about it. That is the reason always a subordinate clause depends on the main clause to convey a complete meaning. So before we end up, phrase is a group of words, a systematic arrangement of grammatical words which gives a sense but not the complete sense. Okay, whereas clause is a combination of words which has a subject verb combination and which can stand independently. It conveys a proper meaning. So that is the difference between phrase and the clause. Okay children, right. So if you still have any doubts, you can post it in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe it and like and share. Have a safe learning. Have a good day. Thank you very much.